If you haven't guessed it by now, the internet is massive, with tons of data being uploaded, viewed, and shared every day. And with that, comes some of the darkest the World Wide Web has to offer. We're not saying any of these stories are real or not, but with how massive the internet is, it's kind of hard to tell. Now, we are counting down the top 30 scariest internet creepypastas. MORDECAI. In 2008, there was a large number of unexplained mass suicides of people ranging from the ages of 12 to 24. It's unknown why these individuals tragically decided to take their own lives. However, evidence from suicide notes suggests that the website MORDECAI was involved. The information gathered surrounding these events states that the website's background shows grotesque images of what appears to be mutilated infant corpses, and a single video in the center of the page. It's believed that this video will take a different form to any one individual witnessing it, but one factor remains common to all known cases. It will show the observer their own violent death. When asked, Google employees had claimed to have no knowledge of any website called MORDECAI, and it seemed that the website was entirely up for only a month before being shut down for unknown reasons. The site has not appeared in any user's internet history.
MORDECAI. The term "take a chill pill" was originally based on a drug known as HK-447. It was notoriously known for its side effects, some of the biggest being death and horrifying hallucinations. One of the victims was a man named Mordecai. Tracing Mordecai's history online will lead you to a blank page with a download link. Above the download link were a few sentences written in bold in all caps. Please leave now. Erase all data from this site. There is no way to delete this. Don't make my mistake. He will stop anyone who knows his plans at all costs. Please believe me, some things are better kept a secret. The file contained disturbing pictures, several news clippings, and some stories. Mordecai was heavily addicted to the HK-447 and was a victim of the hallucinations. Before he died, some of his friends had said that the hallucinations, or as he called them, visions, spoke to him and told him secrets and how they would save him. No one knows what the secrets are or what he was supposed to be saved from. After 2 months of heavily taking HK-447, he started to kidnap children whose ages ranged from newborns to 11. Witnesses said they saw him whispering in the children's ears before he took them, but could never really hear clearly what he was saying. He was eventually found in a small forest with the words carved into his chest. "This isn't the end." After they searched his house, they found writings all over the walls, furniture, floors, and much more. They all said, "The secrets, they'll save me. I can save them too." They also found writing on a piece of paper. "I've seen them. I've seen the secrets. No one else will understand them. They're too young to understand why. Their minds are so young, not yet corrupted by the horrifying reality of life and the pain that comes with it. I have been saved, and I can save them too, and I won't let anything stand in my way." Spreading the story online is said to cause death to loved ones. Anthony, a young man who was researching Mordecai, discovered his friends began disappearing, one by one.
Never become a hacker. This creepypasta has been edited by request of some confidential government agencies. Certain names have been removed or changed due to those agencies threatening legal action. Government disclaimer. The government has determined this story to be false. No videotape ever existed of an experiment gone wrong. A 37-year-old man named Hermes Stalch was part of the outspoken group Anonymous. In the early 20s, he was an internet hacker who was challenged to infiltrate the office of New England Division website and leaked 5 videos people have never seen uncensored before. He managed to uncover a folder of 500,000 unseen videos, according to him. Some of these videos contained experiments, torture, and even some guys finding something censored near a cornfield. But then there was one video that particularly caught his eye. His particular video was called Classified Footage #37JAI, to be viewed by high-level officials only. It was a 1 hour long MPEG-2 file that was over 5 gigabytes. The video had a timestamp that said it was filmed on March 17th, 1992 at 5:22 PM. It shows a scientist named Thomas entering his basement as he claims his experiment will be used as a super weapon in the US Army. The creature manages to escape after being mercilessly beaten and abused by Thomas, killing his entire family in the process. The creature is seen grabbing a butcher knife and yelling to the top of his lungs. The hacker Hermes deleted the video immediately and was taken into custody by the FBI. They told him to never describe that video again. However, they approve of the upload of the story in mid-2013, so long as the changes were made.
Blind Maiden website. There is a website that offers its users the ultimate horror. This website, called blindmaiden.com, is supposedly a site dedicated to a doomed spirit that will enter the home of people who have viewed that site. However, no matter how hard you try, your browser won't allow you to enter the site. You see, to gain access to this site, you must wait until exactly 12 AM, making sure that the night in question is a new moon night. You must be on your own in your home with all the lights turned off. Only when these conditions are met will you be granted access to the site. As soon as you enter, you will see a montage of pictures being displayed quickly. These are images of boys and girls without eyes and faces that are twisted in tremendous fear. After that, a text will appear on the monitor saying, "This website will take you to a whole new level of horror. A horror that will use all 5 of your senses. You must be very careful not to click on anything by accident. You will be faced with a real experience of absolute horror. Click the accept button to engage actively in this experience."
My dark web experience. The visiting. After a boy and his girlfriend decide to explore the deep web, they come across a website called CensorView. The girlfriend loved horror stories and creepypastas, and was excited to find out that the website sold banned horror films from other countries. She found a movie called The Visiting and ordered the film, much to the boyfriend's anger. He thought it was way too dangerous to submit personal information on the deep web. 3 days later, an aggressive knock came from the door. Outside was a tall, stocky man, wearing a ski mask, dark clothes, and wielding a hammer. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the house. It was the girlfriend, pointing at the window facing the garden. An identical man stood at the window, only he was holding a small bat instead. They ran upstairs and hid in the master bedroom and called the police. As the masked men were approaching, they jumped out the window and ran for their lives. A while later, they returned home to find 3 police officers at their house. One was examining each room for any damage or evidence left behind. One was comforting the clearly shaken girlfriend, while the other was asking the boyfriend questions. As it turns out, the visiting was a nickname for a number of brutal murders that occurred in the 90s in a small Polish area. The murders were committed by an unknown gang and were initially dismissed as just home invasions gone wrong. All the victims were bludgeoned to death in their homes, although nothing of value was taken from the house. It was only 2 years after the murders began that a family did manage to survive an attack from the gang. The husband was able to give the Polish police officers a few details about their attackers, but all he revealed was that they wore ski masks, wielded blunt objects, and one had a video camera.
FamilyVacation1.com. Detective Davis Lombard was working on what is now known as the Graveman case. On June 4th, 2004, he discovered something particularly cruel and unusual. A family of 4, all buried in one shallow grave, in their backyard and with no fingerprints. The children had been raped, strangled, then buried. The parents were buried alive with all of their limbs broken, all of them. Their bones were shattered to fragments. On June 27th, 2004, he discovered another family of 3 dead under the same conditions, except this time, the murderer burned the house down and stuck a crumpled note in the dead mother's mouth. It seemed to be in the sort of scratched up letter reading, "Buried, they all are clean." On August 2nd, 2004, a connection was finally made between the two families. They both visited the website FamilyVacation1.com just days before their cruel deaths. The website is said to have a video of a black figure for a split second and a slideshow for all the dead families, except they seem to be photo albums, even some of the officers' families. The site had links to its other associated sites. Sites in languages like Russian, Swedish, German, Spanish, etc. Detective Lombard was found in his backyard, buried clutching his journal 2 days later. All evidence of the cases were lost in a fire. Nothing was recovered.
Talk to strangers. The internet is almost an embodiment of strangers, and the most known place to meet strangers is a video chatting site called Omegle. Out of boredom, one girl decides to visit the website. The first person was a white man in his mid-20s, attractive enough. She waved. He immediately asked her to take off her shirt, so she disconnected. On to the next one. The next person was an Indian man who told her she was beautiful and that she should show him her tongue. She skipped. Eventually, she met a white male, perhaps 50 years old. His skin was pale and he was very thin. He was so thin that his flesh seemed to be painfully stretched over his face. It made him appear to have the translucent property of skim milk. Paired with this sallow skin was his dark, lank, greasy hair. Now, most people wave when they see the other person. Not this guy. He simply stared at her with a strange, growing smile. She eventually disconnected, only to find the man again. But it was different this time. He still sat, stock still for a time. But his expression seemed angrier, more malicious. That smile remained. When she disconnected, the screen went black, and then he suddenly reappeared there again. She tried to disconnect again, and the same thing happened. She sat there staring at his constant reappearance in fear, while he kept staring back. Then, for the first time, his body moved. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a paper plate of all things. Then, with a pair of scissors, he cut out a crude mask. His nefarious, horrifying grin could be seen through the mask. Before she closed the web browser, a single word appeared in the chat box. Wait. He held up an old Polaroid camera, and she saw a camera flash just as she closed the window. We kept driving. There is a video on the internet that goes by the name of We Kept Driving. This video depicts a man driving down a rainy road at night, following a black car into nowhere. This video is merely a distraction from the audio. After a few seconds, a man will start speaking to the viewer in Russian in a relaxed tone. It is unclear what the man is talking about. Supposedly, upon multiple viewings of the video, it will begin to change. There have been reports of the size changing, the picture blurring, even the Russian dialogue being different. There have also been reports of nosebleeds, headaches, depression and paranoia whilst watching the video. The strangest part is that at some point, the video will keep playing at a constant volume, even if you turn your speakers down, off entirely, or walk away from the video, almost as if the video has buried itself deep into your subconscious. All the people who watch the video claim to have had dreams after watching it. Although loosely connected, the content of the dreams ranges from two teenage boys being chased by some inescapable entity, security cameras, illogical amounts of blood, traumatic experiences, and strange, indefinable floating objects. Most of these dreams end with the dreamer jumping out of a window or smashing a window. It is unknown whether the video still exists.
Pro Anna messed up. There was a following online called Pro Anna about women who are suffering from an eating disorder. They all included tips and tricks, how to avoid eating in front of family and friends, how to throw up safely, and more. All of the Pro Anna websites suddenly began disappearing. They were replaced with a more pro-acceptance kind of a website. These allowed eating disordered behavior, but not any tips and tricks. Like they would support you in starving yourself, though they would suggest the right vitamins and such, certain vegetables that gave you the right amount of nutrients, and good vitamin tablets. There was one site that a user joined that involved a thread simply titled Claire. The thread included pictures of a girl hooked up to a full life support machine with tubes in her nose and abdomen. There was one last picture. It was the girl lying in a coffin, obviously dead. There was writing at the bottom of the post. It said, "This is Claire. She started off reading pro-anorexia websites 4 years ago. Those websites encouraged her not to eat. They told her that food was evil. There was one user on the pro-anorexia website, who we only know as Simpsons Girl, who told Claire that she was ugly. She told my daughter that she needed to lose weight because she would never get a boyfriend otherwise. Claire was a beautiful girl, but she did not understand how beautiful she was. She believed that food was bad because the pro-anorexia websites told her so. She starved to death because of those people on the sites. We are certain it all began because of Simpson Girl. We forgive this girl, but we hope that she realizes what she had done to Claire."
Yu-chan. After the passing of his father, a teenager goes through a deep depression that causes him to invest his entire day into the internet. He becomes fascinated by some pretty sick imagery in forums, such as Disaster Chan. The teenager was pleased greatly, and his desire for more gore grew. This would eventually lead him to an image board called Yu-chan. The image board said, "Welcome to Yu-chan." On the left side of the homepage, the different boards were listed: /necro, necrophilia, /sem, cemetery, and /b, random. He decided to visit cemetery first. He found a picture of his father's corpse lying next to his grave. The time of the posting It was posted in the future, 10 minutes from now. He grabbed his bike and started cycling to the cemetery as fast as he could. In about 5 minutes, he found the lifeless body of his father next to the grave, just like the picture showed. He returned to his apartment and back on the website. He clicked on the necrophilia board. It showed his mother dead, being raped on a bed in what appeared to be a hotel room. He couldn't watch this anymore. The time of posting was 2 weeks from now. His mother was still alive at the moment. 13 days later, the police did not believe his story and thought it was all some silly prank. Him and his mother were going through a psychosis and extreme paranoia. She kept telling him that this all wasn't real and that he needs to see a doctor because he didn't want to leave her side. He never got any sleep. The mother went missing the morning after.
Normal porn for normal people. Normal porn for normal people, a site dedicated to the eradication of abnormal sexuality. This website is very ominous and strange, with a leading quote that states, "Your God can't help you within my walls, but rest assured, you shall be on your knees," by Dr. Richard Van Buren of the Need for Normalcy Project. The website hosts a few links to videos, such as one called peanut.avi. It was a 30-minute video of a man, a woman, and a dog in a kitchen. The woman would make a peanut butter sandwich, and the man would set it down for the dog to eat. This goes on for 30 minutes. Another video was titled lickedclean.avi, where a repairman is seen working on a washing machine for the first 2 minutes. When it's fixed, the repairman talks to the owner briefly and then leaves. The owner checks to make sure the repairman is gone, and he begins to lick all over the top of the washing machine. This goes on for 7 minutes. However, the most infamous video is one called useless.avi. In this 18-minute video, a blonde woman from one of the other videos is seen tied down to a mattress. She attempts to scream, but her mouth is taped over. After 7 minutes, a man in a black suit and mask opens the door and lets in an adult chimpanzee. When the chimp enters the room, the masked man closes the door behind it. The chimpanzee sniffs the air for a moment, it may have been blind, and notices the woman tied to the mattress. It goes into a frenzy and begins to maul her. The assault goes on for a grueling 7 minutes, until the woman finally dies. The chimp eats the flesh from her corpse for 4 minutes, as the video ends. The site was taken down because of this video, and those who mentioned it on forums were banned frequently. However, useless.avi found its way onto some gore sites.
The deletion scream. The deletion scream, by definition, is the disembodied screams of a victim, which can be heard as a high-pitched noise over the speakers of a computer. Many say the sources of the screams come from a photo the victim saw and deleted, after a pop-up message comes up saying, "This image, if not deleted, will cause on your computer." The said cause is different to each victim. The image usually shows a famous landmark with a fuzzy image of someone in the background. This fuzzy image is said to be the previous victim's soul imprinted on the image, and, in doing so, deleting the photo will kill them. For example, if one person gets the image and then deletes it, their soul is imprinted on the image. However, when the image appears on someone else's computer screen and they delete it, the original person who received the image will die from the cause, e.g., the pop-up might say, "This image, if not deleted, will cause a virus on your computer." The person who received the image will die of a virus. As the second person deletes the image, their soul will be imprinted on it, and they would be at risk of being killed by the next receiver, and so on and so forth. Usual signs of a person being killed by the deletion scream include their last expression being that of a forced scream. Various cases exist, such as the May 6, 2000 report on a woman named Sarah Kettig. She was last seen in her bedroom on her computer. Her roommate says that she was looking through some photos of London. This was about 10 p.m. The next day, no evidence of her existence could be found. All photos of her seem to have been burnt, and all attempts of pulling up any files on her have proven so far futile.
Sky Judge. In recent years, most airlines have started installing video cameras on their planes for security reasons. Of course, the videos aren't of the highest quality, but it gets the job done. There is a particular video being passed around file-sharing networks that appears, if it is not a hoax, to be taken from an airplane security camera. The file is often called recovered crash footage, or something similar. But the most common title is Sky Judge. The plane in the video has been identified as the Boeing 787. It's also said to be reconstructed from incomplete, corrupted data, leaving occasional gaps and jumps. The video is said to show various passengers and even flight attendants disappearing, all while a quick red flash is seen outside the plane windows. A hooded figure is seen appearing and vanishing, just seconds apart. At one point, a man can briefly be seen hanging from a noose towards the end. Red light shines in through windows, steadily brightening. After several seconds, the light is so intense that the entire feed is white. A second later, the feed ends.
Facebook friends. You know those people on Facebook that try to add you that you don't even know? Well, there's one person like that out there. He was a social outcast, a self-proclaimed first-class loser with 0 friends. He was fed up with being lonely, so he decided to make his very own Facebook. He had 0 messages, 0 notifications, and 0 friend requests. It was just like the real world. One day, someone did actually send him a friend request, and he was so ecstatic to accept it. He added everyone this person was friends with, and once they accepted, he added everyone who they knew. He ended up having thousands of friends. People at school even began talking to him and noticing him, but some people wouldn't accept his friend request. Did they have something against me? He thought. It was obvious to him that the only solution was to get rid of those who wouldn't accept his friend request.
Memoirs of a Cam Girl. After finding an old desktop computer in his girlfriend Alice's condo, a man begins inspecting it. He finds that it belongs to a woman named Enid, most likely a former tenant of his girlfriend's condo. The computer had 7 folders that were labelled from top to bottom: music, movies, pictures, art, writing, video, and finally, logs. The logs folder contained over a dozen Word documents. As he reads the documents, he discovers that Enid was a cam girl and was documenting her one-on-one live streams. The following is a transcript of one of her logs. Wednesday 16th. First name, last name. Starts 4:37 p.m. Client requests that I strip naked. His video feed is just a black screen at first, but then something is moved out of the way of the camera, and I can see another naked girl who is lying stomach down on top of what appears to be a large dog kennel. Her arms and legs are chained to the kennel, and her hair hangs down around her face, hiding it from view. There is a man sitting in the darkness behind her. His face is covered by a black mask and he is vigorously masturbating. After a moment, the girl begins to scream. "Oh God, he's coming!" I quickly end the session and just sit there for a while afterwards, staring at my own dumbfounded expression on the video chat program open on my computer screen. Then I write this log, then I quit for the day. Ends 4:49 p.m. 12 minutes. This was the first mention of a masked man, but then he returned a week later using a different name. Wednesday, 23rd. Humbert Squared. Starts 11:32 p.m. Client requests that I strip naked. His video feed displays a shot of a poorly lit bedroom. There is a partially open closet to the right of the frame, and a closed door to the left. I don't see anyone in the room, so I say, "Hello?" Someone begins to bang on the closed door from outside, and I let out a startled yelp. This is when a man in a black mask leans his head out of the closet and looks in my direction. He is masturbating. There is another bang on the closed door and someone screams, "He's fucking coming!" I end the session. It was the same masked man as before, I'm sure of it. I write this log and forward it to Donna, along with the one from last Wednesday. I receive a new session request, but I can't. It's not that I'm afraid, but I am. Ends 11:41 p.m. 9 minutes. This continues on and on until Enid decides to install a video capture program to record her sessions, despite it breaking a rule at work. He tries to find the video, but Enid's hard drive ended up crashing. His friend Jay was able to extract some data from the video, including the image of the masked man. Just then he receives 2 text messages from his girlfriend. The first saying that she parked far from home and is walking home, feeling watched. And the second saying, "He's coming."
ANNORA Petrova. The story of an ice skater named ANNORA Petrova details why you should never Google yourself. One day, ANNORA finds a Wikipedia article about herself. Before every ice skating competition, she would check the page, and it would always correctly predict her placement. Knowing this, ANNORA made a Wikipedia account to try and edit her own page and persuade the outcome of her upcoming competition in her favor. Instead, she found a page saying, "ANNORA Petrova is a selfish little bitch who is going to get what she deserves." The following day, she was accused of tampering with one of the competitors' ice skates and was later banned from the competition. Her Wikipedia page updated itself again, this time saying that she was a pathetic little orphan. This was right before ANNORA's parents died. Eventually, the Wikipedia page announced ANNORA's own death. Smile Dog. Smile Dog, or Smile.jpg, is a supposed cursed image that drives those who view it insane. The image is of a sinister-looking Siberian husky that changes over time. The origin of the photo is unknown, but is rumored to have first been posted on the X Paranormal board on 4chan in 2008. However, the most often cited victim of the Smile Dog was a woman named Mary E. She worked for a small Chicago-based bulletin board system in 1992 when she first encountered Smile.jpg. Mary was one of an estimated 400 people who saw the image when it was first posted as a hyperlink on the BBS, though she is the only one who has spoken openly about the experience. The rest have remained anonymous or perhaps dead. For 15 years, Mary was cursed with nightmares by the haunting image, telling her to spread the word, similar to that of chainmail.
The Grifter. On August 10th, 2009, 4chan user The Solipist posted a thread on X Paranormal board describing a video clip that was so disturbing it would cause viewers to experience nausea, nightmares, and could make them commit suicide. The video is said to be very grainy, showing images such as a bathtub full of maggots, haunting paintings from old times melting, random forests, flashing colours, texts in a different language, all while a strange voice played in the background. In the thread, the solipsist shared several screen captures of an infant he claimed were taken from the video. Google Maps 3D. On December 10th, 2011, an anonymous user on 4chan's X board posted a thread which told simple instructions to a location on Google Maps. The address led to a residential home in Nancy, Lorraine, France. Using the 3D features of Google Maps, the image shown to the right could be seen. Debates were made on what the being shown in the image could be. One accepted answer was that it was merely a surfboard holder. However, during the debates, Google Images censored the being, which led to the question, why would Google censor it unless it was something in which they wanted to keep hidden? Identification of the being is currently unknown. However, research and controversy remain active.
Email. This creepypasta is based on a blog that was uploaded to Reddit by a user named Still Running. The blogger states that he received an email with the subject title as Progress of EBOV-7X. The email's intended address was 2 letters off from his own, and it came with an attachment named E-7X, Results and Suggestions. It was addressed to a man named Mark, and it reads as follows. Mark. Attached are the prelim results from the last batch of tests on EBOV-7. The X generation seems to be holding up much better to the modifications. Remember, this is eyes only, so don't print this out or anything. You are new here, and we all think your help is really what's gotten us off of the ground on this. If you have anything to add, let me know ASAP. Provided this gen holds up, we'll have a much better quarterly report for the bigwigs than we did last time. Don't wear the tie with the mustard stain on it, okay? Reagan. The attachment was a PDF file that had a picture of Ebola. Under the picture was a paragraph that read, with the iteration of EBOV-7X and the hiring of new personnel, we believe we have finally addressed the main desires of the client. EBOV-7X contains the following alterations from the base EBOV-0. A. Increased incubation time of 12 to 40 days as opposed to EBOV-0 incubation of 2 to 12 days. B. Suppress the lack of appetite common in EBOV-0, thus removing one of the major diagnosable tools. C. Increased durability of the virus, allowing it to remain hot for up to 8 hours outside the human body. See Test 100BA for applicable data. D. Decreased rate of fever increased by 20%, allowing for upwards of 35% more time before patient becomes immobilized. He was shocked at what seemed to be an experiment to make Ebola deadlier or even a biological weapon. The next morning, there was a knock on his front door. 2 men in suits, who claimed to represent the company, confronted him about an email he might have received by mistake. The men asked for permission to review and delete the email, which was now in the blogger's trash folder and marked unread. The men deleted it, apologized, and went on their way. The following days, the blogger and his wife Faye were met with near-fatal attacks. They were constantly being followed by a pattern of distinct cars. The blogger states that him and his wife have been constantly moving, stealing internet from different sources to post this story in hopes of not being able to be tracked.
Morbus.avi. This strange video begins with static for 45 seconds before cutting to a dark room with a metal doctor's table in the centre and a large metal cabinet backed against the wall behind it. The large table was lit up in the middle of the room. After about 5 minutes, a tall human figure walks in front of the camera, dressed in a dark coat and gloves. He wears a pale white plague doctor's mask with a hood, keeping every inch of his body concealed. 2 other doctors can be seen carrying what appeared to be a human body under a large white sheet, revealing a man strapped to the gurney. He looked terrified, his eyes wild and filled with fear. A leather strap was belted across his mouth, keeping him from screaming out. His forehead glistened with sweat and his chest heaved. There was no sound at all. Small white text popped up onto the screen. Subject has been confirmed with the infection. Immediate surgery has been directed. They lowered the knife to the man's exposed stomach, slicing down. The man shook his head and was thrashing wildly, trying to escape the binds that held him down. Obviously failing. The figure merely continued the incision, placed the blood-stained knife back onto the cart. He pulled his gloves on tightly, securing them, then reached into the man's stomach. Viewing the video is said to cause sickness and nightmares. One such viewer began vomiting the night after watching it. It didn't look the regular throw-up, but more like car oil. Morbus, the name of the file, was the Latin word for disease. The viewer was infected and rushed to the hospital. Despite his attempts at fighting back, he became delusional and started seeing the plague doctor standing before him in the hospital, saying, "Subject has been confirmed with the infection. Immediate surgery has been directed."
The Wanderer. Back in the 1990s, a girl committed suicide after viewing an image posted in an old news group. The image was what appeared to be a woman, standing in the middle of a lonely road. She is transparent to the point that only her legs were barely visible by an unknown light source. No facial features can be made out, but the figure is most easily identified by its long, bony appendages, which partly resemble a spider's legs. Those who have seen the image or know of its existence have come to know the figure as the Wanderer. The first known suicide because of this was in 1996. Jane, a college girl who was visiting her family during the holiday season, had an interest in the paranormal. She saw the Wanderer image on a news group along with a message reading, "Do you see me? I can see you too." Dozens of other users saw the same post. Most didn't think much of it, but some actually complained that they experienced headaches while they looked at the image. According to Jane's family, she suffered from nightmares and began seeing the Wanderer outside her window. She was convinced it was following her. She began going to extreme lengths to stay awake at night. Jane was convinced that, if she slept again, the Wanderer would take her. She was later found curled in the corner of her closet by her family. Blood reddened the front of her body, having drained from the long slit across her throat. Through the rest of the 90s, dozens of others went missing or committed suicide after viewing the image of the Wanderer. Shortly after posting on a news group about the image, a user received an email in his inbox. The subject of the email was, "I can see you." The body only read, "Do you see me? I can see you too." There was an image attached with the message. No one knows for sure whether it's the real Wanderer image or not.
Generation Loss. In 2007, a British audio programmer attempted to make a video documenting a phenomenon known as Generation Loss. This is when one tape is copied from another, but each incarnation wears the quality down by a certain amount. The programmer used a spare tape recorded at by a friend in the early 90s, featuring footage of a nearby intersection. edited his own music into the clip, and then copied it back and forth until the footage had decay enough. However, this clip circulated on 4chan's Sector B in mid-2008, with reports stating that watching the entire video will cause a sharp burning sensation in the back of the skull. Common side effects included hearing screams deep in the tape's grinding music, seeing human shapes in static, and seeing a disturbingly thin boy in the window staring directly at the viewer. While the effects can be avoided by pausing the video and watching or reading anything else for any amount of time, it is unknown what will happen if the entire video is consumed without stopping, as these effects vary from person to person. Some users have reported long-term effects, like seeing the skeletal boy around them in public, or hearing vague whispers and clicking. One user reportedly committed suicide out of desperation by throwing himself from his apartment window. His body was discovered with severe bruising on the back of his skull.
The Other Network. There are rumors that in an old, abandoned research building in North Wales exists something known as the Other Network. When hooked up to a laptop, there will be no sign of a proper internet connection. That is because this network hosts an alternate internet connection. The search engine Google will be replaced with www.patriotsearch.com. In place of the Google text logo, there will be a simple, sketch-style picture of a stoic-faced soldier holding a British flag in one hand and a US flag in the other. The words Semper Fidelis were scratched onto his helmet. Searching for the YouTube website will lead you to an Error 404 message before taking you back to the Patriot Search website. According to the creepypasta, the headlines of BBC News website are as follows. Second American Civil War grows in size and intensity. U.S. troops redeployed from Afghanistan, Egypt, and Turkey to defend home soil. France and Spain left reeling after terrorists detonate a thermonuclear device on their borders. Police in Texas circulate CCTV images of men believed responsible for the kidnap and murder of over 50 women since 2008. Handgun ban set to become law across America after last week's White House shooting spree. The author continues reading on and on, contemplating whether or not he stumbled across some alternate world and that this network was what joined the two worlds together. He was left in shock over all of the terrible news he was reading. It seemed too surreal and too big to be a joke. Just then, the laptop started freezing and was unresponsive. A file was being downloaded with a pupilless eye as its icon and its name a blank space. He yanked the cord off of the wall and left the research building.
Username 666. Back in 2006, when YouTube wasn't nearly as popular as it is now, there was a channel so controversial for uploading tons of gore porn and blood fetish videos that it had to be removed. A person from YouTube posted their experience with this account on a now defunct blogging website. He wanted to know more about the removed channel and why some of the YouTube moderators wouldn't tell him. But one did. One moderator handed him a piece of paper with writing on it that said www.youtube.com/666. Searching the URL will only lead you to find that the account was suspended and nothing more. However, after refreshing the page multiple times, the thumbnails and text begin to disappear. The homepage turned into a sickly reddish color, and a link to the YouTube account 666 appears. Viewing the channel is said to cause your computer to be infected with viruses. You will not be able to pause or exit out of the internet browser or even one of the channel's videos once played. You will also be prevented from shutting down your computer as username 666 continues to infect it. The The person was fired from YouTube for going onto the channel. His blog post was then defunct 2 days after it was posted.
Necrosleep. The following account is the only surviving evidence supporting the existence of necrosleep.net. The blog data was downloaded by a concerned reader just before it vanished from the internet. These are the final moments of Reed Murdoch. Reed Murdoch joined a forum called Nocturnal Underground, where he was greeted with the following email.
Congratulations, ReedMan07. You've been invited to an invitation-only website that will change your life forever. Discover what society doesn't want you to know at necrosleep.net. Use your exclusive invitation code to enter. DCLXVI. Find out what you've been missing your entire life. necrosleep.net.
At first, Reed thought this was just a scam, but he was inspiring to switch to a more nocturnal sleep schedule, and this piqued his interest, so he obliged. The website seemed very unfinished and hastily put together. It had a black background, white text, and a row of red hyperlinks labeled as Main, Purchase, Secret, and Credit. The following is an excerpt from the main page.
Welcome to necrosleep.net. This website is invitation only. Selected visitors have exclusive access to our special product that will change your life forever. Necrosleep is a product that safely negates the biological necessity of sleep. Thanks to our miraculous secret formula, with 1 pill a day, you will never feel the need to sleep again. Try it for yourself by clicking the purchase link. If Necrosleep doesn't change your life, we will offer you a complete refund. Your astonishment is guaranteed.
Clicking on the secret link takes you to another page that reads,
Necrosleep is comprised of special and rare ingredients, which we cannot disclose in order to ensure that our formula stays in private hands. In order to keep our product available, it can only be distributed through alternative means on an exclusive basis. The active ingredient in Necrosleep has been sought after for years by doctors and scientists, intending to displace sleep with wakefulness. Only we have managed to do what others could not, as permitted by the will of our master. We can assure you with full confidence that our product will change your life, and you will never feel need to sleep again. Feel free to indulge in our secret.
Reed ordered the pills, which came in an old dusty envelope with no return address. He took 1 pill every day at exactly 10 p.m. for a week. To his surprise, he didn't need to sleep anymore. He stopped feeling tired altogether. He tried to stop taking the pills. This caused him to experience headaches, hear constant voices in his head, and even see demons in his reflection. The autopsy reports revealed that Reed's digestive tract was a disturbing mixture of human tissue, mostly brain matter and cerebrospinal fluid. His brain matter revealed thousands of small black parasites. The pills recovered from Murdoch's apartment have been tested and confirmed to contain a vile plethora of uncommon substances, including obscure, highly addictive euphoric drugs, human hormones, and parasitic eggs, presumably meant to remain dormant in a cool place until introduced into the body, allowing them to hatch and eventually invade the brain. Mr. Friend 123.
There is a Tumblr user out there called Mr. Friend 123. Little is known about the person who manages or managed this blog, and it is unknown if this blogger is even active anymore. But for a while, the blogger would post these bizarre and rather disturbing videos on their Tumblr blog. Each video contained imagery that can only be described as something from the depths of a depraved mind. On this person's blog is a cryptic message that reads, "What you are viewing is something that doesn't exist. It is something that cannot be found, and it is something that cannot be lost. It was created to show you what is happening. It was created to make you understand. It was created simply because it was, but their reasons are there. All the reasons are hidden in these videos, hidden messages, hidden clues." These sentences repeat over and over before the message finally concludes with, "You are looking for the woods while you are sitting in the tree." People have reported that Mr. Friend 123 would send them weird messages such as, "Where am I? This blog promotes sensual feelings. Let temptation in. I worship you." It is unknown as to where these videos were filmed. Some videos appear to have been shot inside an industrial warehouse, while others were taken in what looks to be an isolated farmhouse in the country.
Marianne Mordecai Glasgorf. There is a video on YouTube named Marianne Mordecai Glasgorf. Searching the video will only get you a 20-second video of a man staring intently at you, then grinning for the last 2 seconds. This is only part of the actual video though. The full video lasts 2 minutes and was removed by YouTube after 153 people who viewed the video gouged their own eyes out and mailed them to YouTube's main office in San Bruno. Said people had also committed suicide in various ways. It is not yet known how they managed to mail their eyes after gouging them out. YouTube will periodically put up the first 20 seconds of the video to quell suspicions, so that people will not go looking for the real thing and upload it. The video itself was only viewed by one YouTube staff member, who started screaming after 45 seconds. This man is now under constant sedation and is apparently unable to recall what he saw. The person who uploaded the video was never found, the IP address being non-existent, and the man in the video has never been identified.
The Suicide Show. There's a forum on the deep web titled Enthusiast of Suicide. The forum has a multinational array of boards for users from different countries, all of whom were fanatically obsessed with suicide. People in the English-speaking boards would share different ideas about suicide, how to execute it, how to lessen the pain for people who are afraid of suffering, stories about friends who had committed suicide, suicide fetishists sharing explicit pictures with one another, people having philosophical discussions about suicide. It went on and on. Then, on one of the boards, people were talking about something called The Suicide Show. "It's on tonight. Are you going to watch it?" one would say. "No, I can't. I have a big day tomorrow. I plan on going into work with my .38 and killing my boss. Then I'm going to kill myself," the other would respond. According to the creepypasta, the show's film quality was grainy, as if filmed using a cell phone or a cheap camera. A woman with a microphone held tightly in both hands stood with a forced smile on her face. Her mascara was ruined as if she'd been crying. As she spoke in a foreign language, the on-screen English subtitles read, "Welcome to the Suicide Show. I'll be your host for this evening." "Let's start the show," she shouted with an uneasy and forced glee. "Our first contestant is from New York. His name is Robert Howard. A spotlight highlighted a man sitting in a chair. He had a shotgun in his hands. He lifted the shotgun to his mouth, tears running from his eyes, and he fired. The inside of his mouth can be seen lighting up for a brief second as the shot rang out, before his body slumped ahead, folding in on itself, his head dangling. "Judges?" the host cried out. They wore black masks with zippers that formed smiles for mouths, and white taped that formed X's over their eyes, with small punctures in them so they could see the show. One judge held up a 3.8, the other a 4.0, and the last judge held up a 3.5. There were a few more contestants on the show before the author left the show out of pure fear and disgust. Not much else is known about this online show.
My dead girlfriend keeps messaging me on Facebook. These photos show the online conversation between two people named Emily and Nathan. According to Nathan, Emily was involved in a 3-car crash. She was dead within minutes. Before the accident, her and Nathan had been dating for 5 years. Emily's Facebook account was left activated in memory. Almost 13 months later, Nathan started to receive messages from Emily's Facebook. She even started tagging herself in Nathan's photos in places where she would have been, like next to him on a couch. It wasn't until a few months after going through these chats that Nathan discovered that she was just recycling words from previous conversations. The word freezing was the only thing Emily had typed that was not recycled.